And I'm here to talk about strategic marketing, or how you can be able to win, grow, and retain loyal customers. As Mr. Ronald had explained, my experience is in the music industry, or entertainment industry, and which is it's very vague for many people, but it does have very similar principles to any other business. Um, Maybe just to introduce myself, or I mean, we've already done the introductions, but um, I did study audio engineering and audio production for my undergrad, and that's how I managed to work in music production at Dustville Records. I was able to be a lecturer because my parents are were lecturers. My brother is also a lecturer. Yeah, I was very passionate about teaching and sharing the things that I learned. So I got an opportunity to work at Artfield Institute of Design, where I was teaching audio production. I founded a company, 101 Music, where we were basically a record label. We're doing label services for artists in Uganda. I studied my master's degree in Berklee College of Music in business administration. I got the chance to lead Swang's Avenue, the record label, and then eventually, when I left, I started my own sort of networking platform called AUMEX, where we design solutions for artists and different creative entrepreneurs. That being said, this would be the perfect opportunity to find out who else is in the room and what industries they're in. But I feel like I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, or if we are too many people for us to go through everybody. But from the rough idea, I've been informed that many of us are in the business space, maybe small to medium enterprises. Perhaps we could use the chat maybe to share some of the fields that you're in, or different businesses that you guys are running. So it can give me an idea how to contextualize the examples I'm giving. That would be really helpful. Cool. To move on. We are going to be speaking for maybe roughly 40 minutes, 30 minutes. I am going to share a couple of examples at the end on ways that we can use different tools and assets and systems to gain customers, grow our customer base, and maintain the loyalty of that customer base. The key ideas that I'm going to cover today are ideas that are in the entire business space, not specific to do with music or entertainment. Audience, we've all had this before. So audience, I'm going to try and, these are the key ideas I'm going to speak through today, but I'm going to try and explain how we can change how we are thinking about them. So instead of audience, let's talk about community. Instead of messaging, let's talk about how we can share content and create experiences. Instead of targeting the consumers, let's talk about how we can invite people to join. And instead of penetrating the audience, think about how we can collaborate with communities. Versus talking about a media plan, let's talk about conversation strategy. So the reason why I'm talking through these key ideas is because these are parallels to the entertainment industry. I'm sure that all of you in your respective fields, whether it's in construction or whether it's in textiles or in food products, you've seen the words on the left. And in the entertainment industry, we use the ones on the right. It might seem like very many artists and musicians or entertainment products just kind of show up, but there is business principles underneath it. And I'm going to try and explain the parallels and see how we can be able to learn from the entertainment industry and cultural products, how they engage with the audience, how do they engage with the communities, how do they engage people so collaboratively, and how we can apply those same principles. So the start, which I'm sure you're all aware of, is for to explain, in entertainment, we call them fans. I think in the rest of the other business spaces, we call them customers. Yeah. So I'll use the two words interchangeably. So we have to start with the customer. What do they need? That's the most important place to start, because if I'm not tailoring solutions to my customer, I'm going to be making delusional decisions thinking that everybody is paying attention to what I'm doing just because I think it's good. I need to fully understand what the customer actually needs. Okay. Instead of, in order to help me understand who my audience is, a lot of uh, the audience, let's call them audience research, revolves around demographics. Who are these people? Where do they live? How old are they? That kind of thing. But I want to propose a new way of thinking about the audience. What is their spirit? Let's say, for example, I am in the hospitality industry. I am not necessarily, it's not only 18 to 24-year-olds who go to hotels or who eat my snacks. I need to be able to understand what the spirit is. Let's say I'm into gaming, right? Gamers are not only young people. Gamers could be older people. There's a spirit that a gamer has. There is something that motivates them. There are things that your customer is afraid of. There are things that they want in their life that your product can be able to help them with. This could be either to save time, it could be either to save money, it could be to make them some more money, especially if you're into consulting or teaching services. What you need to understand is, who am I speaking to and what's their spirit? How can I be able to serve them best? That's the best place to start. Once we've got that, let's try and figure out what we're good at and find the intersection between those two. Let's say I'm good at singing. Or as Ronald had said, he assumed he was good at singing, but maybe his fans did not need him to be singing at that particular moment. I need to find out what I'm good at. And as I maybe learn my skills and figure out what it is that I'm good at in business, I really need to start exposing my work to people or my products to people. I'll explain a little bit about value or what I'm good at. The more I expose my work to, let's say, anybody, the attention is going to drop. I'm sure some of you have seen that. Maybe at the start, everybody's really excited. Your friends, your family, everybody's like, yeah, we really love your business idea. Keep doing it. And then with time, that attention kind of tapers off, right? That's natural. The more I've written this word cut, I am a cut person. I've written cut over 150 times. And with time, eventually it becomes, you stop paying attention. It becomes normal. Um, Another thing about exposure, which is a very interesting juxtaposition, is the more I expose myself to something, the more I actually like it. And this is showed in examples like Coca-Cola, where once I see my name on a bottle, I all of a sudden love it so much and I really want to spend money on it. So what we are trying to look for is this intersection between the more that I expose people to my product, I know the attention is going to fall off, but I also want people to like it. There is a sweet spot right in the middle where the number of people who like it and the attention which I'm getting actually converge. And our hope is that I'm good at putting out products or putting out, let's say, content about the stuff that I do, to increase the amount of likingness. I know that's not a real word, but let's just use that for now. The amount of likingness, and also to prevent attention from falling. We just make sure it plateaus. Context is everything. If I would like to be able to keep that plateau in terms of attention and also people liking the products that I'm putting out. Just a second, because I do have a I've been a lecturer for a couple of years. If there are any questions, feel free to, I don't know if this is how the system works here, but you're free to interrupt me as well and stop somewhere and just ask me. I don't know if we should use the chat. Maybe I can be advised by the guys from Enterprise. Will we use the chat for the questions, or do people just put up their hands, or do we do the questions all the way at the end? Feel free to interrupt me. I prefer if it is a lot more engaging. That being said, context is everything. How you frame the work that you do is exactly how customers will perceive it. This, as we all know, is the picture of the Mona Lisa, but even just the framing is everything for the painting. It shows that it's so exclusive, so valuable, so, you can't touch it. I mean, they have a security system and everything. It's brilliant. It has nothing to do with the actual value of the paint, right? The paint might have actually been regular paint, or the brushes were regular brushes. Maybe the artist was one of the masters of our lifetime. But the way that the painting is framed affects entirely how customers are perceiving the value of the brand. I want to explain a couple of just one example actually. Um, I put this visual because like the line is the same length, but it kind of seems one example seems longer, the other one doesn't. And I'm explaining Whoop versus Apple. Has anybody heard of Whoop? Okay, I see that have been said we shall do questions at the end. Cool. But yeah, Whoop is I'm going to read a little bit about Whoop. Just give me a second. This is a wearable fitness and health tracking company. They make a screenless band that you can wear on your wrist, right? What they focus on optimization and recovery rather than notifications. So if you'll see the Apple Watch, which is on the right, it's a watch. It's designed to tell time, but it also has notifications. It also has synchronizing to your phone, things like that. Whoop, on the other hand, this is designed to help you understand when to push hard and when to rest. This is designed for top athletes. It measures sleep quality, heart rate variability, heart rate, resting heart rate, blood oxygen levels, everything that can help you understand how you're performing and how you can perform better. Now, when they started the company, of course, everyone's like, at the time display, you'll sell more units because, of course, Apple Watch sells way more units. But adding a screen would damage or would change the customer's perception, and it wouldn't necessarily be an elite health device. It would now just be a watch, because Apple does also measure heart rate and things like that. But they noticed that adding something objectively valuable would decrease the psychological value of their product. So we're not necessarily saying that framing framing your particular, let's say, value or your value proposition is about lying to your customers about what exactly you have. It's not about deception. It's just about knowing how to present your product through a compelling lens. Right now, these guys they have a subscription model. They charge maybe about $30 or so per user per month. And their annual revenue is over 219 million US dollars. So definitely the business model works, which is very impressive. But what's important is we are talking about how do I frame what I'm actually doing or what I do best? Do I frame it as something valuable? And objective value does not necessarily exist. Value only exists if you frame it in the customer's mind, that you're solving problems that they actually have. Okay, we've covered what we are good at and what customers need. What we are trying to find is that intersection between what we are good at, what customers need, and what people will actually pay for. I'm going to go through this framework, which is a way of understanding tools, systems, and assets that can help us reach more. I'm going to call them fans for those of you who have just joined, to reach more fans, but in your spaces, this will probably be customers. To reach more fans. I'm from the entertainment industry, so that's why we call them fans. So tools, systems, and assets. Let's start with tools. These are pretty average, general tools that everybody has, or at least has heard of. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat. I also include LinkedIn because there's some businesses that actually do thrive a lot on LinkedIn. Use as many as you need for your customers. You don't necessarily have to be on all the platforms, and you don't necessarily have to post the same exact way that everybody does on those platforms. But find out what your customers need and then be there, solve that need for them. These Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, those are tools that we own, right? I'm going to explain different types of tools. So we have the socials and the blogs, or maybe a website or something that you have. These tools serve your existing customers. They're cost efficient, flexible, they enrich, they're pretty easy to use. You know, you get your product, maybe take a photo of yourself doing a cleaning of a house, and the house is so clean, and you're like, wow, guys, before, after, wonderful, I post that, right? That's my own tool. I can pay for a tool, right? So this is maybe when I put out an online ad, or I pay for a TV commercial or a billboard. And I'm like, hey guys, this is me. I'm a cleaning service. I'm trying to find new customers. Paid tools ensure immediacy and scale. So if let's say you're Azawi and you want your album or your music to feel like it's all over the country, buy a number of billboards. And then lastly, there are earned tools. These are why I'm highlighting this is the gold mine. This is where your idea is so good or so interesting that it gets a free ride. This is where you'll find content that's kind of viral or stuff that moves, it feels like it just came, right? And this is where we focus entirely on what value it is that we are adding to customers and why they would want to talk about um, the thing we are advertising or the product that we have. So it's important to ask this question at the beginning. As soon as you start your campaigns or as soon as you have maybe a start of the new quarter or a new week, will people talk about what it is that I am trying to say? And why would they? Why do people share things that they find online? My mom shares funny videos that she finds on TikTok to me as well. So I am also aware that people share things and they also share videos and content that they see from our different products that we are trying to put out. So why do people share? One, it makes them feel smart. We want people to feel like they're helpful to other people. If let's say, I'll give you an example. I recently became a parent, and it's extremely challenging, but also rewarding. But there's so much content that I get that's very helpful about, how to change a pamper or, how to get a good bottle of milk or the right temperature, things like that. So people want to share content or pieces of assets that have practical value to other people. And then another reason why people share any of this content or assets is it needs to be connected to a trigger. So if you're making content right now, let's say about elections or about something that's happening that's trending or a current news topic, people will share it because they feel like they want to show that they're up to date or that they're connected to all these different triggers. Those are the reasons why people might share some of the work that you guys are doing. What systems can we use? We're going to discuss one main system, right? This is the marketing funnel. I'm sure there are several of us who are aware of it, who have seen it. I'm just going to read through basically what it is. It's a purchase cycle that consumers go through from awareness all the way at the top down to loyalty. It's been around for 100 years. It's just really to get the major milestones that customers go through, and fans as well for the music industry, that fans go through from where they first hear about your song to where they're sharing your music as well. So awareness, of course, is where we get familiar with your brand, your tone, your messaging, your values, your culture, your brand guide, everything. These are things that attract customers, right? This is when your customer is just passing by and then they see a billboard or they watch you on their TikTok. Consideration, of course, is where you're increasing the likelihood that a customer will actually choose you versus a competitor. Conversion is where you're encouraging actual shoppers to purchase the product. You could kind of highlight some of the advantages of your product, the things that differentiate you from other competitors. And then loyalty, lastly, loyalty and advocacy, which is really where we all want to play. This is where customers are kind of they're your marketing agents. They're going out there talking about you. They're sharing all your content. They're sharing all your work. They're referring you. This can be done by following up and nurturing different connections with consumers as soon as they've done going through the rest of the purchase phases. These positive interactions really help people understand that you're listening to them and you're solving problems for them. Okay, assets. As I said, I'm going to take you through tools, systems, and assets. So this is where we're going to get a bit tactical, and we're getting to the end of this session. I'm left with maybe a couple of slides. I'm just going to give you examples, right, from the entertainment industry, but then I'm going to give you some examples that you can take there for free. I basically just put them in ChatGPT and got a bunch of prompts. And so yeah, please feel free to take them, but I want to explain the theories behind it, right? In entertainment, we have similar funnel to the one that I've explained to you. We have passive followers. These are guys who will maybe listen to you on radio. You have some who are interested, who might actually follow you online. And then you have people who are already following you online. And then you have those true fans, right? I'm sure within your customer segments in each of your industries, you can also see that there are different types of audience. There's different people who feel a certain way about your product. Maybe they've just heard about it, or maybe they are true advocates and are telling everybody about it. So they exist somewhere on this spectrum. But in terms of assets or content, we'll speak only specifically about digital content. I will bring in some real life examples, but let's speak about digital. There are different formats that work for different phases in this funnel. So specifically for the passive followers, this is for raising awareness. This is where you introduce what you're working on. Like, hey guys, I'm just going to try and use another example. I am into health services. Hand raisers. What do I mean by hand raisers? These are like, I don't know if you've ever watched those videos where someone is like, I've actually used one right now. Have you ever been in that situation where you're a new dad and you don't know how to change a pamper? Question mark, right? Those are hand raisers. Or have you ever been in that situation and your house is so dirty, you don't even know where to start, and the only thing that can help you is a cleaning service? That's a hand raiser. Another format of content that's helpful for passive followers is an impressive skill. So this could be like a 5 to 10 second reel of you actually doing the thing that you do very well. So I'm going to give some examples of that. This is the 15-second problem solution hook, right? Feel free, you can take pictures of all of these ideas in case you want to go through them later on. I'm just going to run through them rather quickly so we can have enough time for questions at the end. You can do a behind the scenes of your process. This could be showing product creation or showing how, let's say, I'm going to try and use examples from the chat. So please feel free to drop in your businesses or at least your ideas, what field you're in, so that I can be able to give you examples that are relative to what it is you're actually working on. Okay, textile. I have no idea how textiles are made. Are made. This is just me. So a behind the scenes of your process could be, okay, this is how I get clients. These are the schools, the different schools that I'm printing textiles for. This is where we get the cotton from. This is my workshop setup. Another thing is to maybe show failed prototypes or funny team moments. People like to relate to people who seem normal or who look like them. And then you could also put in some new products. These are things that you're doing for the awareness phase. I'll talk about it as the awareness phase because you're trying to get as many customers as possible. There are early bird incentives. These, I don't know if you've seen the Java's had a coffee offer or something that they would, if you spent about 200K on fuel, they'll give you free coffee and something. I don't remember what. Another example is the first X people to do Y get a bonus product Z or free shipping. So the first 10 people who maybe go to my page and like what it is that I'm putting out, you'll get a free customized product or a customized t-shirt, let's say if I'm in textiles. What you're trying to do here is you're trying to get as many people aware of these ideas. Free, join, get 20% off. In case you have, let's say, a new logo or a rebrand or maybe different package design, this is where you put that kind of content. Let's say I mean, I see also just making artwork or design work, animations that show your core value propositions or maybe customer testimonials. These don't have to be extremely elaborate. You can go through tools like Canva to be able to just say, hey, this is my construction company. We're in the construction sector. This is what we do. This is what customers love about us. Next phase. So now we are going into the guys who kind of know about us, but there are fans. They're the guys who started from the beginning, but they're not really engaged. They're just there, like a number on our socials or on our websites. Here's what we can do with them. I'll give you some examples. This is how we engage them. They're engaged already in our ideas or in our business, but then they have not really converted into actual sales yet, right? So here's how I could get them. Collaborator shoutouts. This is if, let's say, I am in the chili business, right? I make chili products. There must be a team somewhere behind that maybe designs the logos or that helps me source the bottles. I could just make a short video, get my phone, and make a short video of the people that I'm working with, my partners, my suppliers, maybe even my mentors, everybody who is involved in my process as well. Customer challenge. Now, this one's very interesting. Let's say I am in the hospitality industry or food industry, snacks. One of the other interesting ways that I can be able to engage my fans or my customers is I can find out how they use their products. So I might be making chili, and I think everybody uses chili in beans or chili in meat, right? But there might be people who are using chili in ice cream. I know it's extremely outrageous, but I need to be able to find out the creative ways that my clients are using my service. And this could be interesting ways that I can put out some content. I could repost the best submissions. People like it when you repost the things that they put out. I'm also tag us in your transformation. So let's say, for example, I am in the medical supplies business. I have most probably my customers are probably going to be, let's say, pharmacies, hospitals, that kind of thing, right? And you could do a before and after. This was me before you. This is me afterwards. The guy who's doing the cleaning, or the lady who's doing the cleaning. It could be, oh, this is what I did before. This was the customer is saying, this is what I was before, and this is what I am having the Clean Canvas Limited working with me. And you could also do reaction videos, also peer reviews, because everybody in this community with the Enterprise Uganda, those are all your peers. This could be people that can be able to review your products or work with you as well. Other ways, you could go to throwback content. This is how I started. Let's say I made uh, undergarments for teenagers or something. How I started in this business was I started by making undergarments for, I don't know, old people or something like that. And just explaining where your story started, it's an important thing to help people know that, okay, I can buy any type of undergarments, but I like this particular business because they're real, they're human. How it started versus how it's going, that's another format that's pretty common or popular. Mood boards or inspirations. I'm sure even while I'm making my adult diapers, I did have an inspiration or something that inspired me to actually get into this field. I can show exactly what inspired my product or service. Another thing you guys can do is do a live Q&A session. For the start, to be honest, if you're not really good online for the start, there might not be many people online, right? So you'll do a live and maybe, your mother shows up or, just people who have to show up for you. But as you keep growing those lives, people understand that, okay, I can be able to just throw in a question about this particular business. And it shows me that this business is actually engaged. This is also where you'll put in frequently asked questions. I'm sure you have some frequently asked questions that you can just put in whether it's in a graphic or in a small video, and just put them out there, how to do this and this, about us, different reviews, etc. Lastly, we are dealing with your true fans. These are people who will watch any long form video that you put out. These are the people who would want to actually meet up with you in real life and engage with whatever content that you are actually putting out for them. Here is how I foster loyalty or advocacy. I need to have product or service deep dives. Now, just to deal with the adult diapers, I'll ask you a question. How exactly are these made? Like, can you create for me a 10-part series to show me exactly how you make this series, this product? For the passing fans, the passing followers, the ones who are not really interested, guys in awareness phase, right? Those ones, you don't necessarily have to make for them how we made this, right? They might not be interested in that. They might be more interested in the clickbaity stuff, like the more exciting content that you put out. But if I'm putting in, this is how I make, this is how I made the adult diapers, or these are the processes that I go through, you'll actually be able to engage loyal fans that are your true customers. Whether you're breaking down benefits, another thing is live demonstrations. This could be, I see Avra. I hope I'm not pronouncing it badly. But what exactly, I mean, you say you connect customer requests to any product to the right service provider. Fair. But how does it work? Can you show me a live product usage or a live tutorial or a live service delivery so that I can actually understand where you come from with this product? Here is also where you put in polls and quizzes. This is like you involve the customer in the decision making. If you've seen it in the entertainment industry, an artist will say put out a teaser and they're like, hey guys, could you help me decide which artwork I'm going to use, right? Now, the reality is behind the scenes, they've kind of already chosen which one they're going to use, but they want the audience or the customers to feel like they're involved in the process. And this brings that engagement, it brings that loyalty. Also, early bird exclusives. So I say maybe I have an exclusive for the next 2 days. If anybody signs up, I will, give you a free cup of coffee or something like that. Yeah, and then we have, testimonials of your customers. You could do a virtual or in-person celebration event where you're saying like, I really love you guys. You've showed me so much support as my cleaning services. I'm really, really looking forward to like sharing this with you guys. You don't even have to do it in person. You could do a virtual event kind of similar to the one we are on now. A thank you video as well, which is gratitude content. This could be a personal thank you to customers, or it could be behind the scenes of the impact that they've made. Let's say these two clients have been using my cleaning services for this quarter, and they have actually afforded me the money to buy a printer or a computer or whatever. Those are the stories that your customers want to hear. And once they hear them, it engages them a lot more with the products and the story that you're actually trying to sell. And also customer of the month, which can be an interesting like kind of highlight for your audience. That being said, we have taken you through the entire customer funnel and given different ideas on what types of digital content that can be able to help take customers from awareness all the way down to advocacy. I would like to get back to what we started with. Stop talking about audience, start talking more about community. Stop talking about messaging, start talking about how you can share content with your customers and create experiences for them to be able to engage with your products. Don't talk about targeting your consumer, talk about how you can invite people to join. Don't talk about penetrating the audience, talk about how you can collaborate with your community. And instead of a media plan, talk about a conversation strategy. How you can be able to engage with your audience and with your fans in a way that makes them feel like they're a part of your product, they're a part of your story. Here's where we say thank you. Thank you guys so much for being very attentive and very quiet. This is now the point where you can feel free to drop in any questions or share with me any ideas that you're thinking about the work that we've gone through today. I can also scroll back to any of the other slides that you felt like I should go over again.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Great. Abaasa, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Super. Great. Thanks a lot. Lovely, lovely expose on how we can get into the hearts of our customers. And there's a lot of thank yous on the chat. I see them coming through. I think that means those are happy customers. At least they're getting into the funnel. But thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Friends, we
okay.
are going to get into an opportunity to have a conversation with Abaasa, specifically on a couple of the things he has touched on. I think for me, when you showed the funnel, one of the things which stuck with me is the fact that the process takes patience to be able to allow a customer to move from just getting to aware you to kind of considering you, and then converting that person into someone who is a loyal customer, and then someone who will be your advocate. I think for me, one of the things which came to mind when you talked about advocacy was the case of the of the rat in the milkshake for CJ's. I think most of you may remember that scenario. when someone claimed I found a rat in the milkshake, and the customers came out and said, no, there is no rat. And these customers were not in the kitchen, they were not there. But I believe those squarely in the advocacy group, which is saying, you know what, I am going out, I'm going to support my service provider in a very strong way. So I guess all of us want to reach that point where you have a customer who is sold out for you. But it takes time. It's a process. Great. So, friends, at this moment we will ask Abaasa some questions. If you have a question, please go ahead and just put it in the chat box. You can raise your hand. I will be able to give you an opportunity. But I see Jimmy Drani saying, "Wow, wow, great presentation." Richard says, "Incredible session on customer experience, especially in this digital age." Absolutely loved it. Yeah, that's what Richard said. Moses says, humbled indeed by the valuable knowledge. Moses says, thank you. Richard says, do share the slides. Yes. Bob says, thank you, Mr. Bassa. This is very helpful. Andrew says, thank you, Mr. Bassa. Great presentation. I think Andrew Gidudu will come in with the first question. How does one maintain these communities we have engaged in? That's the first question. How do you maintain them? I mean, for example, online is exhausting. How do you maintain that community? And then the second part of the question is, how does one maintain the customer base? Kindly
Mm.
highlight on some strategies. I think Abaasa, you'll get back and answer that question. Catherine says thank you. Henry says thank you, Mr. Abaasa, for the presentation. Sylvia says super indeed. Please write for us here the better names. The four you have mentioned, like the new names of media, please. I think yes, you have seen Sylvia's question. You'll also address that. Uh,
Okay.
the
I could
Whoop,
start with some of the questions, yeah?
exactly. So you also capture Birunji's question. I think Birunji also has a question. I see Birunji's question coming through. I think you can see it,
Yes.
Abaasa. You
Yes, I
can
can see
possibly
the
capture
questions,
those in
yeah.
the chat box, and then we will continue.
All right. I'll start with maybe how we can be able to maintain the communities we have engaged in. Ideally, one of the starting points, right? I'm just going to scroll right all the way up to the top, is I need to understand who I'm speaking to, what their spirit is, what motivates them, and what they're very afraid of, right? This is the whole entire pillar around which my business revolves. If I'm not serving a customer, I'm not making any money. And so I need to be able to engage them, but it's not so much about staying relevant, because I think maybe that might be the challenge of like, oh, maybe I posted once a week and I feel like other people are posting 5 times a week. I need to, up my game. No, if my audience wants me to post once a week, I need to post once a week. If my audience prefers that I engage them in this particular way, I need to engage them in the way that fits within their spirit. I don't have to play any other game. So it's important to have an understanding. Spend time in your comments. Spend time, put your products out, ask for feedback, get as much feedback as possible. Try and understand and make a sort of a customer profile of who it is that you're speaking to whom does the product actually make sense. Who we had in mind in the beginning might not necessarily be who it is in the end. So go to your comments, ask for feedback. That's how you'll be able to understand their spirit, what motivates them, and also do some qualitative research, like go ask a few questions. If you can afford, you do a quick Google survey, put it out in your fans and or in your customers, and say, hey guys, I'm just doing a quick survey. Just let me know which of these particular services that I offer would be most helpful for you. I don't know if that helps with that question. Regarding the Whoop versus Apple, I wanted to run through that real quickly. Why I was highlighting Whoop versus Apple is it's more or less the same thing. Like there's not much in terms of the design or the functionality, or it's a wearable device. It's the same thing. But these guys, the Whoop guys, what added them value, especially within their customer, which is why I'm saying that the audience is key here, right? What added their value in the eyes of the customer was the fact that they maintained that sort of exclusive, we are only a sports wearable. We are not going to put a watch or, something that makes it doesn't necessarily dumb it down. I'm not saying that Apple Watches are dumb, but the customers are totally different. These are worn by elite athletes. These ones are worn by us, the individuals, or anybody else. And so I think that's one of the things that differentiated them, was just adding that extra value, listening to what the customer wants and serving them instead of trying to follow the trend. I'm going to answer a question from Jim. He asks, the easiest marketing appears for products. Let's try and go through the typical customer journey for a service business, say a primary school. So here's the thing. We are going to consume products more or less the same way, whether it's a service or a product. Being aware of the school is different from me taking my child to the school. And that's also different from me telling all the neighbors in the estate that, guys, this is the best school for your child, right? The system is the same. The principles are the same. You'll have to change some of the language that you're using. Let's say an advocate for the school, I'm going to serve that parent a bit different. Let's say in the school, I'll have maybe parent of the month, or I'll have the best students every, they do that they do that in my school as well, where they would announce the best students every term. And you'd come back next time saying, I need to be the best student or whatever. And that's different from putting out a billboard that says, we offer arts and sciences day and body. That's for awareness. That's at the top of the phase, right? If you're looking at loyalty, it's a totally different way of engaging with your audience. I don't know if that responds to the question, Mr. Jim. Mr. Henry, you asked about that we are in an AI era. Are there AI tools which can support in the customer care, retention, and marketing? I guess for starters, let's get the ChatGPT out of the way. That's very, very helpful, especially for summarizing documents, for giving you a few insights. I wouldn't necessarily lean on it. It's the same way. It's like a pencil. It's going to help you draw better, but it shouldn't be the one coming up with the ideas. The pencil's ideas are probably going to be a bit generic, and everybody will have pencil ideas. But to make your idea slightly more engaging, think a lot on your own, and then engage with the products, with these AI products. So ChatGPT is a good place to start. I've seen Claude. I'm just going to write the name here. Claude is one of the top products that I've actually ever interacted with. It's much, much, much better than ChatGPT. It has a free version, which is also like heaps better than ChatGPT. They visualize, it's just go to Claude. It's the best right now. But anyway, also Canva, I'm going to type that as well in the chat. Canva helps with marketing, that's with design, with any visual stuff that you want to create quickly. So not that you shouldn't hire a designer. If you can afford, hire a designer, but if you can't, which is most of us, go on Canva. The templates are very easy, very intuitive. You can just place elements, different things, can design your logo in, here's what I would do. Design my logo in Claude and go to Canva and begin to make all these different assets that I need. I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Henry. Mr. Michael, how do you deal with the competition when you have a more superior product, but they have more ad dollars? So the question is a bit unclear. I'll ask you a few other questions, so maybe you can clarify. What do you mean, how do you deal with the competition? Competition is always going to be there. So I would like to clarify maybe what you mean by deal with. And there are going to be people who have more ad dollars than you do. That's obvious. It's important that you differentiate your product, which is why I was giving you the example of Whoop versus Apple. Whoop is not as big as Apple, but they do have a sizable chunk of at least the elite athletes and the people who are using wearables. So Apple might be able to pay for more ads, but Whoop has served the customer. So if you want to be able to compete, if you want to be able to at least have where you stand within your customers, serve them as like hit the nail on the head. Find out what it is that they need solving and hit the nail on the head. Okay, I'm just going to go through one last question. From your presentation, Rosemary is asking, from your presentation, it is our reality is that our customer is online and everyone is talking to our customer. It's therefore critical that we are online to join the conversation. This seems to require a full-time staff to keep engaging with our customers. Is there a cheaper option? Okay, a couple of things. I'm going to write another tool, yeah? Buffer and later. These help with scheduling. A lot of the challenges that we feel that we experience, especially with what you've talked about, which is like, how do I constantly engage? You don't need to constantly engage because that will mean you're taking time away from your business where you should be actually focusing your time. So one of the things why I've given you these links, schedule the posts. I'll put another one actually, which has just come to mind. Schedule the posts that need to go out, right? And then engage at specific times. So don't always be ready. Like as soon as you see a notification, you're like, let me go and respond to that. Get time during the week or during the day where you're going to respond to all of these. Otherwise, you'll get burnt out. I see another question. After hitting the target, this is from Andrew. After hitting the target, most businesses stumble and seem to lose direction. Similar to artists, they kind of reach the prime and fade off. That's true. How does one counter this? You have to constantly keep recycling yourself. You can't. I'll show you one of these visuals. Where are we? So for sure, the attention as you expose, like let's say you're Bebe Cool, you've kind of done everything. The more you expose yourself, your products and stuff that you're putting out to people, they lose attention. But they do know your name, right? So we can all recognize Bebe Cool, or at least he's recognizable. But in terms of attention, that's going to taper off. So it's important that you are renewing yourself. This could mean if let's say you are a business and you've reached kind of plateau, this could mean collaborating with younger artists. I don't know if you've seen some collaborations that Bebe Cool has done with the younger artists. I think every season he's trying to get a new artist that he can collaborate with. This could mean collaborating with younger artists. This could mean going back to your R&D, research and development department. This could be you alone. I mean, we're all business owners. Go back to the drawing board or to ChatGPT or to Claude and start brainstorming ideas. Ask, how can I differentiate my product? How can I innovate in this space? I've kind of plateaued. What else can I do? The last question right now is from Mr. Moses. How do I, a starter, compete with already established competitors? If, for example, I've started a Wi-Fi service provider to a local market around me. Here's the advice, let's say, I give to artists who have just kind of got into the market right now. Get the smallest viable product and test it in the smallest viable audience. Those are two things. One is the product. It could be a prototype. It could be, you don't necessarily have to wait till it gets really big. Get your product as small as it is, or a prototype, and then get your audience. This could be people around you. This could be your fans. This could be the people in your comments, and test that product. Use the feedback that they give you to keep making your product better. It's not so much about having already established competitors sort of scaring you off. If you are able to tailor your solution, like you're like, okay, so for me, I only serve Somalis and Eritreans living in Rubaga. There's a business there. If you're able to serve them and you're able to solve problems for them, you can build a business around that, even if there are other Wi-Fi providers that are much bigger or who have a bigger market share. They might not necessarily be serving the Somalis and the Eritreans and the Habesha community better than you. So find your smallest viable audience and serve them as best as you can. Mr. Ambrose asks, these tools I mentioned, kind of downloadable apps. These are software. They usually have a freemium model, so you'll have some parts of it will be free, other parts will have to pay to get like more functionality. But just for the basic, at least to get kind of an idea how it starts, they're going to be free products. All right. Not sure if there are no other questions, and I just
All
wanted to
right.
say thank you guys so much. It's been an honor to share our knowledge from entertainment, which is kind of a really vague industry that not many people understand or want to understand. But the principles in every other business are the same. It's important to understand who your audience is, create a product, give it to them, let them give you feedback, and keep creating more.
All right. Thank you, Abaasa. I think we may have one or two more questions. I see Jimmy's hand up. Jimmy, do you want to ask?
Sure. Thanks very much, Abaasa, and thanks very much, Ronald. Just to kind of put what Abaasa has put in context, how do you translate this for, say, a small business that would like to target markets outside of their normal business? So let us say you have, you are a manufacturer in Uganda and you want to begin exporting this to, say, China. Do you follow these same principles, or there are some add-ins and customizations that you need to do to the customer journey?
I would use very similar principles. So first of all, who am I speaking to in China? I can't just be speaking to everyone in China. I have to have a specific target, like a specific profile for my target audience who I'm trying to speak to. And then what are the ways that I can speak to them? What's their spirit? What motivates them? Who do they listen to? I can collaborate with? What kind of content are they working with that I can be able to, even if it's model, like let's say the people in China are watching how-to videos. Let's say you said maybe let's say you're in construction or something. If people are watching how-to videos then in China, then me as the Ugandan, I'm going to try and make them make how-to videos. It could mean translating my videos or my subtitles into Mandarin. It could mean collaborating with someone who's already doing stuff in China as well. So the principles still apply. It's just, I guess, from the entertainment industry, you are a lot more fluid. You know, you're not necessarily like stuck to a specific way of doing things. You're like, okay, these guys are doing stuff in China. Let's say for an artist here, I would collaborate with a Chinese person. I would maybe go and do a tour there. Does that mean maybe I'll bump into some media people there who can maybe do an interview on me? Things like that. You just have to be very flexible on your feet, but understand who the audience is and how you can serve them better.
Okay, I'm bringing this question, I think, really in perspective of, let us say, some of the multilateral agreements that we have, or I mean the bilateral, say, AGOA. The government signed the agreements under AGOA framework, but that is government to government. But then where the rubber hits the road is where the actual businesses actually link and participate in these businesses to execute them. But then at the end of it all, I think there is usually a gap between what the government looks at and what the actual players really look at. So that's why in my view, it's really my view, that some these agreements are not successful, because even if they open the markets for free in the US, but then the businesses in Uganda don't have those partnerships with the businesses or the clients. It becomes kind of a
It's
challenge.
true. It's the same even in
Yes.
entertainment. The government agreements seem to be very delusional and not connected to real life. So I do agree with you that the policymakers sometimes actually don't interact with the actual small and medium business owners who are actually the ones, as you said, when the rubber hits the road. So I do agree with you. There's always that disconnect between what the policymakers are talking about and what we on the ground are actually doing. I mean, between the US and Uganda, there are so many bilateral collaborations that are being done at policy level. But on the ground, there are a lot of other relationships that are being built, and they do need to be built. They do need to be fostered. You can't just hope that someone is going to sign that contract for you. You're going to have to like reach out and do some collaboration as well.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much,
Super,
Mr.
super.
Ronald, for the opportunity. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I really hope, actually, we do have a business conference. I would like to plug this. It's a music business conference. It's happening on 7th November. I know this is a field that you might not necessarily interact with directly, but we are all in business. So yeah, we have a business conference that we do every year. It's called AUMEX. It's happening on 7th November at Motive. I'll share the assets with Mr. Ronald.
Yeah, lovely. I was actually going to say, please drop those in the chat box so that we can be able to link in. And for those of us who have children who have chosen music, have chosen drama as their path, I think, I hope at least Abaasa has helped us appreciate that it's okay. It's okay. It's a path which can be followed and people can live fulfilling lives. I do know that many struggle to appreciate this as an industry which can be pursued in a structured manner. So it would be lovely. I think Eva is also asking for the flyer. If you have it, Abaasa, somewhere, you can just drop it in the chat box so that colleagues can be able to plug in. Great. A big thank you for Abaasa for sharing with us. I'll just give you one moment. Just give any final remarks which you have to final message to the team as we wrap up the session today.
Great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think personally, that's my belief. I believe in education. I believe in empowerment. That's why we've worked together in the past with Enterprise Uganda last year, and the stuff that you guys are working on to help business owners and to help other people who are just kind of trying to figure it out is what I believe. So don't stop learning. Keep asking questions. The better questions you ask, the more impact you'll actually be able to make in the products you're making and to serve your audience better. So just keep going, keep growing. That's it. Yeah.
Super. A big thank you, Abaasa. Lovely session. Please do reach out. I think the flyer has been shared. Those of you who can drop by the conference. I was there last year. No, the other year, I think. Was it last year or the other
It was
year?
last year, yes, last
It
year.
was last year. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing group. I remember meeting with someone who I later saw on TV. I was so excited. I was telling my family, I saw that guy. I saw that guy. I think he was doing one of the shows, and I actually thereafter I've seen him in a number of engagements. But I remember the first time I saw him. So no, I was, and my family didn't believe me, but I told them I did. So it was exciting, and thanks for the work you're doing, Abaasa, and thank you for blessing us this morning. We're very honored to have you. Friends, let's keep going. Remember that Global Entrepreneurship Week is happening from the 17th to the 22nd of November. We'll have a conference on 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Abaasa, I hope a bit of your community can participate in that conference. It will be in Butabika at the National Center of Excellence and the Enterprise Uganda offices. So please do engage, do plug in. We are looking forward to a nice conversation then. Those of you who can make it on 7th of November at Motive, please do get in there, plug in, learn, and pick a couple of the lessons which you have picked here and plug them into your business. It's always those practical things that make a difference. A big thank you, stay blessed, and all the best.